Two surging teams has suddenly made this a very important game with USC taking on Oregon on Saturday. We bring in Nick Dempsey from Conquest Chronicles to help us break it down. Nick, as always, it's should be a good discussion. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, anytime.
All right, let's talk about those USC Trojans, and let's get everybody set with scenarios here. So it's pretty simple for USC, as I understand. Win out, and they win the Pac-12 South. Same thing holds for UCLA. So they've got UCLA after the Oregon game in the annual grudge match. So whoever wins that's in really good shape. Utah needs a whole lot of help after controlling the division much of the way. Am I set on that one?
Yeah, I think you pretty much got it nailed.
Okay, and we've got Oregon who needs to win out and get another loss from Stanford in the big game against Cal, and then they hold the three-way tie as well against Washington State. Even though they lost to Washington State, then it becomes this they beat them, but they beat them situation, and you go to division record, and Oregon only lost the one game in division. The other two lost an additional game in the division, so it'd be a 4-1 versus a 3-2 and 3-2. And so Oregon, if everybody's following, would win the division. So basically, these teams just need to go out there and win the games, not worry about it, especially USC's in really good shape. So let's talk about this USC team and get us set on the health front, Nick, if you would, because I think this is important for both teams.
Yeah, well, the Trojans picked up two very key losses on defense. They lost Cam Smith and Lamar Dawson for the season. Cam Smith, as I'm sure you all remember, had 3 interceptions against Utah. Both those players are down. They're going to have to figure out a way to replace them. And then they've already been hit pretty hard with injuries this season, but now they've lost 2 key playmakers at pretty much the worst time that you can lose 2 key playmakers. So the Trojans are going to have to figure out a solution. And I don't envy Justin Wilcox, their defensive coordinator, right now. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and they're taking on a team in Oregon that's getting back to its old self, and much of that has to do with injury/health, because Vernon Adams is in the best shape of his season physically since at least prior to the Michigan State game. And for Darren Carrington, we see what in the impact he's had on the Oregon offense. He's come back for the last 4 games. Don't have his numbers against Stanford, but he had 3 consecutive 100-yard games going into that game. So he's been a major factor in coming back, stretching the field. He's averaging like 24 yards a catch. So let's start on the USC side here, Nick. If in terms of setting up the offense versus the defense, just kind of take us through what you think the keys to this matchup could be.
Sure. I'm very interested/concerned about the opening of this game. Oregon is a team that likes to explode early and really get out in front, whereas USC the last couple of weeks have really started slow and just kind of come out flat, but have been able to claw their way back in. So I'm concerned if Oregon jumps out to a huge lead early. Can USC, with their power running game, claw their way back into this game? That's first quarter in particular is going to be very critical to watch. If they can keep pace or slow down Oregon, USC can definitely compete. But if Oregon gets out to too big of a lead, I don't know. I don't see a way for USC to claw back into it.
USC seems to be scoring plenty of points most games. The defense, on the other hand, despite a lot of talent that we will see play on Sundays, has had issues even against the likes of Arizona a couple of weeks ago, which seemed to have its way at times in the game. So where would you point to with these defensive issues? Is it health? Is it depth? Is it just maybe they're not quite as good as we thought that they should be?
Oh man. Unfortunately, it's probably a little bit of all three. Um, Lately, the defensive backs who are very young, talented but young. They've been getting exposed lately in the last couple weeks. So that doesn't help. The depth in the box is really hurting them. And a lot of it is just, they're not winning up front at the line of scrimmage, and that's giving even average or backup quarterbacks plenty of time to go to work and pick apart the young DBs. They're going to have to, they've got 2 really good quarterbacks coming up in the next 2 weeks. Um, they're going to have to step up and probably play better than they have all season on defense.
What else do we know about Cam Smith? Because it's funny, you bring up that name and certain players, especially if they play at non-skill positions and they do something special for the season. And obviously, this is USC's huge win to date, the upset of Utah, or the you would think upset of Utah based on the records. The kid picks off 3 passes, and everybody across the nation sees the highlights, and they suddenly know Cam Smith's a linebacker who plays for USC. Is there anything else to know that why his loss should be so devastating or hurt the team?
Well, he's really critical in the front seven. He can cause a lot of havoc, and offenses have to kind of try to move away from him. So this opens up a little more space in the box for opposing offenses to go to work. But he's young. I think he's a freshman, so he'll be back and causing all kinds of headaches for the Pac-12 South for a couple more years. But it's still, they're gonna have to figure out the next 2 weeks what to do without him.
Hey, Nick, in watching this team play every week, have you seen a difference between the two regimes now that the Sark situation has passed? Has there been anything tangible on the field in regards to X's and O's, or has there been any kind of approach that you would be able to put your finger on that you see a difference?
Yeah, Sarkeesian on offense really loved going for the big plays, the deep home run balls, just trying to be explosive. Helton is definitely trying to establish a real power run game. Run it 45, 50 times, punch him in the mouth up front over and over again. So X's and O's very much a difference. But I think the attitude of this team, Clay Helton's got these kids running through walls. He's got these kids basically showing up, doing whatever he asks of them. He's got them believing that no matter how terrible of a first quarter they play, they're going to come back and fight their way into it and win, which is huge. And everyone from Cody Kessler on down has flat out said in interviews to the press, "We want Clay Helton. This is our guy. We are literally playing for him to keep his job." So that's a lot of dedication and devotion. When a game filled with passion, that's a huge asset, and I think it's really helping them out this last month or so.
Also seems to be a pretty good life lesson, because at the time that there was the coaching change, we all thought, or many of us thought, I don't know in what camp I was, I don't think the season was over, but it appeared to a lot of people, okay, you lose your second game, you're done, you're cast off, and you've got nothing to play for, so let's see if you have any pride. Well, if you know Pac-12 football in particular, really any conference, but specifically the Pac-12, a lot of good teams have to play a lot of good teams. Therefore, there are going to be a lot of L's in the loss column. Therefore, you're not out of it with 1 or 2 losses. So they obviously, when everybody was telling them, "Well, your season's over, you're still going to play hard," they did it anyway, and now they've been rewarded with a chance to extend the season.
Yeah, and I think also Helton's first game taking over was at Notre Dame, and you come out and lose that game, and now you don't even have a shot to like wreck your rivals' championship season. Like that's gone. But I don't even know if these guys came out and said we're going to make a run at the Pac-12. I think these guys just came out and said we're going to go out and football. We're going to play for Coach Helton, and we're going to win. Um, and man, have they ever? I don't know a lot of teams that could have gone at Notre Dame and then host Utah back to back on a coaching switch in the middle of controversy, and then start a four game win streak. But these guys have done it, and all the credit in the world to them. I don't know a lot of teams that could have survived that, but here they are, 2 wins away from going to the conference championship game.
Nick Dempsey from Conquest Chronicles helping us break down USC and Oregon. Anything else regarding this matchup you think needs to be thrown out there before we let you go, Nick?
Oh man, Vernon Adams and Royce Freeman, I have a feeling are about to score a lot of points this weekend. They might still be scoring points from the Stanford game. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Royce Freeman, when I was prepping for the Stanford game, and we talked it up, definitely he's been off the radar because of the losses early in the season. But if you look at the numbers and then watch the kid play against the Stanford Cardinal, wow, he's one of the better backs in the country. And they've got 3
Yeah,
kids behind him, 2 freshmen and a sophomore, that are starting to chip in with like 50, 60, 80 yards a game as well. So they can run the ball. You think Oregon pass, but they threw it
yeah,
12 very efficiently against Stanford, like 17
yeah.
yards per attempt, and then they hit you with a running game.
Yeah, you almost got to feel bad. Almost got to feel bad for Oregon fans who probably are right now thinking, "Where was this team all season?" It would have been, if you want to play a little revisionist history, it would have been interesting to see how Oregon would be faring right now had the current Oregon team we're seeing today shown up all season. It would have been very interesting to watch, and I doubt the Pac-12 would be out of the playoffs right now.
Exactly. All right. Nick Dempsey from Conquest Chronicles. Always a good time, Nick. Thank you.
Absolutely, and we'll see you.